Hey, my friend. Welcome back to your daily English podcast, the place where we don't just learn English, we grow through it. Let me ask you something today. Have you ever felt stuck, like you were capable of more, but something invisible was holding you back? Maybe it's fear, maybe it's comfort. Maybe it's just the voice in your head saying, "Not yet, you're not ready." But here's the truth. Confidence doesn't come from waiting, doesn't come from thinking, doesn't come from perfect plans. It comes from doing hard things. And when you do those things, even small ones, you grow. That's what we're talking about today. I'm not here to pressure you. I'm here to walk with you, to remind you that you're not weak. You're just in a zone where nothing new grows. But you can step out. You can step forward, one hard thing at a time. You ready? Let's take a deep breath. Begin. Sometimes we think confidence is a feeling, that we need to feel brave before we take the first step. But most of the time, it's the opposite. We don't feel brave until after we act, till after we face something difficult. Yet, you do the hard thing, and then confidence appears. Not before. That's why staying in the comfort zone feels nice, but quietly steals your power. It's safe. It's easy. But nothing grows there. You stay in control, but at the cost of change. The longer you stay, the smaller your world becomes. Then comes the fear zone. Shows up the moment you try to step outside. Suddenly you care more about what others think. You start comparing. You hear your own doubts whisper. What if I fail? What if I look stupid? So instead of moving forward, you make excuses. Not because you're lazy, but because fear is louder when you're on the edge of change. But here's the secret. Everyone who ever became confident walked through this fear. They didn't skip it. They didn't wait for it to go away. They walked with it, one step at a time. And with every step, fear lost its power. That's how you enter the learning zone. In the learning zone, something shifts. You begin to face your challenges. You don't run anymore. You start building skills. You stretch. You fall sometimes. Yes, but you also rise. And every time you rise, you become a little stronger. You start saying, "I didn't know how, but I figured it out." That's growth. As you keep going, the learning turns into movement. Your steps become stronger. You gain confidence through action, not theory. You begin to set meaningful goals. You actually believe you can reach them. That's when you enter the growth zone. The growth zone is where confidence stops being a wish and starts becoming your identity. You try new things not to impress others, but because you trust yourself now. You're not perfect, but you're progressing. And every action you take turns skills into real impact. You don't just speak better English. You speak with belief, with energy, with presence. That's confidence. And eventually something beautiful happens. You begin to align your actions with your purpose. You stop playing small. You don't just do things for approval anymore. You do them because they're aligned with your values. You say, "This is who I am." That's not arrogance. It's transformation. It's the final zone. You lead. Change not just in yourself, but in others too. You become someone others look to when they need courage. Not because you're loud, but because you've walked through the fire. You've done the hard things. And you carry the quiet strength that comes with that. Confidence is never given. It's earned. One hard thing at a time. You don't have to do everything at once. You don't have to climb the whole mountain today. You just need to do the next hard thing, the next uncomfortable thing, the one small thing that scares you just a little, because that's where growth lives. Maybe it's sending that message in English. even if your grammar isn't perfect. Maybe it's speaking up in a group. Maybe it's showing your face on video, even when your voice shakes. It's not about being fearless. It's about showing up, even when fear is still in the room. It's about reminding yourself that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision to move anyway. That's how confidence grows. Not in your head, but in your feet, in your hands. In the actions you take while your voice still trembles, and slowly, something changes. What once felt scary now feels normal. What once felt impossible becomes your new baseline. Because every time you face something hard, you stretch. And when you stretch, you grow. You become someone who trusts yourself, not because everything is easy, but because you know you can. Handle what's hard. Confidence doesn't come from waiting until you feel ready. It comes from moving before you do. And then, surprising yourself with what you're capable of. Growth isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's waking up and trying again. Sometimes it's choosing not to give up. It's choosing to speak kindly to yourself when your old habit was self-doubt. That's a hard thing too, but it's a powerful one. You begin to rebuild the story you tell yourself. Instead of "I can't," you say, "I'm learning." Instead of "I always fail," you say, "I'm getting stronger." And that shift, those tiny, quiet rewrites, are the seeds of real confidence. The truth is, nobody builds confidence by avoiding hard things. You build it by walking through them, bit by bit, even when it's messy, especially when it's messy. You build confidence when you stop running away from discomfort and start listening to what it's teaching you. You build it when you stop asking, "What if I fail?" and start asking, "What if I grow?" Because growth doesn't come with guarantees. It comes with risks. It comes with stumbles. It comes with showing up without a script and learning to trust your own voice as it rises. Confidence doesn't look perfect. It often looks like trying again after a shaky attempt, like showing up even though you feel small. It's like smiling even when your heart is pounding. And over time, as those moments add up, your brain remembers, "I've done hard things before, I can do them again." That's how you break the cycle of self-doubt. You don't wait for your fear to disappear. You walk with it. And you prove to yourself that you're stronger than it, not because you never fall, but because you don't stay down. And with every little step, your identity starts to shift. You're no longer just someone who dreams. You become someone who does, someone who acts, someone who moves, even with shaky hands. That's confidence. It's not loud. It's not perfect. It's not polished. It's real. It lives inside you, waiting to be unlocked by one brave choice. At a time, some days, the hardest thing isn't speaking in front of people. It's being kind to yourself when no one's watching. It's looking in the mirror and saying, "I'm proud of you for trying." Even when you don't see the results yet, even when progress feels invisible, that is a hard thing. That kind of inner kindness builds the deepest kind of confidence. Not the kind that needs applause. Not the kind that depends on validation. But the quiet, steady kind that lives in your chest and walks beside you in silence. You don't need to be the best. You just need to be better than the person who gave up yesterday. That version of you who stayed silent, who played small, who hesitated. You're already ahead of them because you've showed up today. And showing up, that's the beginning of everything. Every confident speaker you admire once stood where you're standing, not knowing if they had what it takes, worried about what people would think, nervous about making mistakes. But they didn't let that stop them. Let it shape them. Because doing hard things doesn't break you. It builds you bit by bit, word by word, step by step. The fear doesn't go away overnight, but your capacity grows every time you stretch. And one day you'll look back and realize the version of you who doubted yourself feels like a distant memory. Because you're not that person anymore. You've become someone who does hard things not perfectly, but consistently. And that's what real confidence is made of, you know. We don't often celebrate the little hard things. We wait for the big moments, the speeches, the successes, the applause. But confidence is built in the quiet victories, like choosing to speak English today, even if you stumbled yesterday. Like choosing to practice pronunciation out loud, even if you're still unsure how it sounds. Like clicking record on your voice, even when it makes you nervous. That's the real training ground, not the stage, not the spotlight, but the small decisions you make when no one's watching. You don't need to be fluent to be brave. You just need to be present, to keep trying, to remind yourself that every mistake is proof you're growing, because the people who speak confidently aren't the ones who never messed up. They're the ones who kept going after they did. They're the ones who didn't let one awkward sentence define their future. They leaned into the hard part, and that's what made the breakthrough possible. You're not behind. You're not too late. You're just in the middle of building something real. And yes, it's hard. But that's the point, because hard is where confidence lives. Not in easy repetition. It's not in perfect grammar, but in the imperfect, beautiful process of trying, adjusting, and becoming. You don't build confidence in theory. You build it in action, and the more you do, the more your brain learns. I can do this. I'm the kind of person who doesn't quit. I may feel fear, but I don't let it stop me anymore. You don't become fearless. Oh, you just become free. The beautiful thing is, once you start doing hard things, you begin to crave them. Not because they're easy, but because you felt what they do to you. You remember the feeling after, that quiet pride, the deep breath of, I did it, even though I was scared. That feeling becomes addictive. It becomes your new normal. You stop fearing discomfort. You begin to trust that every time you step forward, you'll come out stronger, even if it's messy. Even if you trip, because each hard moment is an invitation to rise. And the more you rise, the more you realize you are not who you were yesterday. You are not the same. You've stretched. You've expanded. You've stepped into a new version of yourself that didn't exist before. And that version, the one who tries, who learns, who doesn't back down, that's who confidence belongs to. You won't always see the growth right away, but trust. Every time you do a hard thing, something in you shifts, even if it's silent, even if no one notices. You will notice. You'll walk a little taller, speak a little clearer, breathe a little deeper, because you'll know I didn't. Wait to feel ready. I moved anyway. And in that moment, you'll realize confidence isn't a destination, it's a direction, and you're already on the way. There will be days when doubt returns, days when your voice feels small again, days when you wonder. If you've made any progress at all, that's normal. Doesn't mean you're weak, it means you're human. Confidence doesn't erase doubt forever. It just teaches you how to keep going even when the doubt whispers loudly. You might hear your old stories. I'm not good enough. I'll embarrass myself. They're better than me. But here's the thing. You don't have to believe those thoughts anymore. You've outgrown them. They're just echoes. Old beliefs trying to pull you back to a version of you that no longer fits. You're not that version anymore. You've shown up. You've spoken, even with a trembling voice. You've practiced, even when no one clapped. You've made progress that your fear hoped you wouldn't. That's strength. And every time you hear doubt again, just smile softly and say, I remember you, but I don't live there anymore, because now you live in action. You live in movement. You live in a place where confidence is built. It's not waited for. And every hard thing you face is not a test to break you. It's a chance to build you. Even now, you're becoming not in the future, not later now. With every word, with every choice, with every step forward into the hard, into the new, into the real you, sometimes the hardest thing isn't the task itself. It's believing you deserve to try. It's believing that you, as you are, have a right to grow, a right to take up space, a right to get it wrong, still be worthy of success. Confidence starts there, in knowing that your worth is not measured by perfection, not by grammar, not by how many people approve. Your worth was never a question. Your growth is just the journey of remembering that. So give yourself permission to fail forward. Speak broken English with brave energy. Step into rooms where your hands shake, to try things that scare you. Because those are the spaces where your confidence is born, not from being perfect, but from being real, from being human, from being someone who keeps showing up no matter what the fear says. You don't build strength by avoiding resistance. You build it by meeting it again and again until it no longer feels like a wall, but a doorway to who you were. Always becoming, and once you step through that doorway, you begin to walk differently. Not because everything is easy, but because you know you've survived the hardest part. You started. And now you are becoming unstoppable. Confidence doesn't announce itself with fireworks. It doesn't arrive all at once like a switch turning on. It sneaks in slowly through every hard choice you didn't run from, through every new thing you tried, through every time you whispered, I'm scared, but I'll do it anyway. That's how it grows. Not in noise, but in quiet courage. So when you feel unsure, when you question yourself, remember what you've already done. Think of the times you showed up when it was easier to hide. Think of the words you spoke. When silence felt safer, that was you building confidence even. You didn't feel like it. Confidence is not something other people give you. It's something you earn with every step into discomfort. It's built in the moments when no one else sees, when it's just you facing the thing that makes your heart race. You can't fake that, can't shortcut it, but you can build it. Slowly, honestly, like a muscle that strengthens through use. And every time you do, you're rewriting your identity from someone who's afraid to someone who acts anyway, from someone who doubts to someone who tries, from someone who waits to someone who moves. Confidence comes from doing hard things, not once, not perfectly, but consistently. Think about the first time you tried something new. Maybe it was speaking English out loud. Maybe it was posting a video. Maybe it was asking a question in a room full of people. You probably felt nervous. Maybe your hand shook. Maybe your heart raced. Maybe your voice cracked, asterisk, but you did it anyway. And that moment, that tiny, perfect moment, was more powerful than 100 quiet days of waiting. Because when you move through fear, you teach your brain something new. You teach it that fear is not the end. It's just a sign that you're growing, a sign that something important is happening. That's what builds real confidence. Not just learning, but living what you've learned. Because you can study all the words in the world, but until you use them, they're just theory. It's the doing that makes it real. And yes, the doing is hard. It will feel clumsy at first. You'll make mistakes. People might not understand you the first time, but that's okay. Every time you try again, you're building your voice. You're building trust in yourself. You're becoming someone who doesn't wait for perfect. You create progress, and in that process, your fear starts to fade. Not because it disappears, but because it no longer controls you. You start to feel that shift. You begin to say, yes, I'm nervous, but I'm ready. Yes, I'm not perfect, but I'm improving. Yes, this is hard, but I'm doing it. That's confidence. You don't need permission to grow. You don't need to wait for someone to say you're good enough now, because you already are. Right here, right now. Exactly as you are. The world may not always see your effort, but that doesn't mean it's invisible. Your courage, the quiet kind, is changing you from the inside out. Every new sentence you speak, every time you keep going instead of giving up, every hard thing you face head on, they all add up, and slowly your identity starts to change. You stop seeing yourself as someone who struggles. You start seeing yourself as someone who grows through struggle. You stop saying, I can't, and you start asking, how can I? Because confidence doesn't just change your language, it changes your questions, changes your energy, it changes your future. And it all starts with a decision. A decision to do one hard thing today. Not tomorrow, not someday, today. It doesn't have to be huge, it just has to be honest. What's one thing you've been avoiding, and one thing that feels uncomfortable, but deep down you know it would help you grow? Choose that. Right. Lean into it. Not because it's easy, but because it will teach you something. The more you do that, the more you become the kind of person who rises again and again through discomfort. And that's how you become unshakable. There's something powerful about showing up, even when no one claps, when no one notices, even when it feels like nothing is changing, because deep change, real growth, it doesn't happen in the spotlight. It happens in the shadows. In the quiet spaces where you keep going, when you could have stopped, that's where confidence is born. It's not just about what you do. It's about who you become while doing it. And what you're becoming right now is someone who no longer runs from fear, but walks through it. At your own pace, in your own way. But forward, always forward. You start to notice things. Your voice feels a little stronger. Your decisions feel more certain. You feel more grounded in who you are and where you're going. And it didn't come from pretending to be fearless. It came from doing hard things with your fear sitting beside you. That's how you earn trust in yourself. That's how you build the quiet kind of power that doesn't shout, but speaks with presence. Confidence is not noise. It's clarity. It's the way you sit with your discomfort without needing to escape it. It's the way you keep trying, not because it's easy, but because you've decided you are worth the effort, and you are. You know what takes real courage? Starting again, after a failure, after a mistake, after disappointment. That's not weakness, that's power. Because anyone can begin when things are easy. It takes a different kind of strength to begin again. After you've fallen, your confidence is shaken. After you've doubted yourself, and yet you begin anyway, that's how the strongest voices are built. It's not in straight lines, but in spirals, in detours. in learning and unlearning, in rising after falling. You don't need a perfect path. You just need to stay on it, one step at a time, one breath at a time, one brave word at a time. And the more you keep going, the more you start to feel it, that quiet transformation inside. You're no longer just someone who's trying. You're someone who's becoming someone who no longer avoids the hard, but welcomes it. 'Cause now you know what's on the other side. Growth, freedom, power, peace, and the more hard things you do, the more you realize you are capable of far more than you used to believe. There will always be a voice in your head that says, maybe I'm not ready. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I'll fail. But here's something most people forget. That voice doesn't mean you're not capable. It just means you're human. It means your brain is trying to protect you. Even if it's wrong, confidence isn't about silencing that voice. It's about answering it, saying, yes, I hear you, but I'm still going. Yes, I'm scared, but I've done hard things before. Yes, this feels big, but I'll take the first step anyway. Every time you do, you're nervous. System learns something powerful. You are safe, even in the stretch, even in the challenge. Even when things don't go perfectly, your confidence gets built every time you choose not to run. Every time you sit with the discomfort and still take action, and soon you begin to recognize something beautiful, that fear and growth live in the same place. You can't have one without the other. So the next time something feels hard, good. Let it, because that's your sign that something inside you is shifting, that you're no longer hiding from life. You're stepping into it, fully, bravely, imperfectly, but powerfully when you look back someday. You won't remember the days when everything went smoothly. You'll remember the moments you almost gave up but didn't. You'll remember the time you showed up even when you were tired, even when your heart wasn't in it, even when your confidence felt low. You'll remember those turning points. The ones that changed your story not with grand success, but with silent resilience. That's the kind of strength that lasts, because it wasn't built in comfort. It was built in fire. Doing hard things teaches you that you don't need the whole world to believe in you. You just need one person, you, your voice, your choice, your decision to stay in motion. And as you keep moving, your inner voice changes too. You stop asking, am I good enough? And you start saying, I'm getting better every time. You stop comparing. You start connecting. You stop doubting your place. You start owning your space. That's the quiet shift. It's not loud. It's not dramatic. But it's everything. Because when you trust yourself truly deeply, the world begins to feel different. Not because it changed, but because you did. And now you walk into each day knowing, I can do hard things. And they don't define me, they refine me. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is just stay in the room, stay in the process. Stay in the moment where everything feels uncertain and still choose not to quit. That's not weakness. That's not hesitation. That's what bravery looks like. You don't have to rush. You don't have to figure it all out right now. You just have to stay. Stay long enough to breathe, to choose, to take one more step into the unknown. Because the unknown isn't your enemy. It's the place where you meet the next version of yourself. The version that's stronger, wiser, more grounded. Every hard thing you face is like a mirror. It reflects your patterns, your fears, your old stories, but it also gives you a choice to react the way you always have, or to respond from who you're becoming. That's growth. That's transformation. That's how you build the kind of confidence that can't be shaken by outside. opinions, or temporary failure, because it lives deeper than that. It lives in the moment you decide, I don't need everything to be easy. I just need to keep showing up. You begin to trust your own effort, not because it's perfect, but because it's yours. And the more you do that, the more powerful you become without even realizing it. Some people will see your growth. Some won't. Some will understand your journey. Some won't. But none of that changes your path, because this journey, this confidence you're building is not for applause. It's for alignment. It's not about being better than anyone else. It's about being more in tune with who you truly are. That's why hard things matter, because they reveal the strength you didn't know you had, the patience you didn't know you were holding, the courage you thought belonged to someone else, but now you feel it in yourself. Not loudly, not perfectly, but undeniably. Every time you face the hard thing instead of running, you become more you, more real, more present, more powerful. In a grounded, steady way, you stop performing, you start living, you stop proving, you start being. And what you'll discover is that the more authentic you become, the less you need approval, the less you chase perfection, and the more you value progress, because you finally realize you're not broken. You're becoming, you're not behind. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. And even this moment, right now, listening, reflecting, it matters. It's a step. And every step counts. There's a quiet kind of confidence that doesn't come from speaking louder, but from standing taller inside yourself. From knowing who you are, even when the world feels unsure. And that kind of confidence can't be taken from you, because it wasn't given by someone else. It was built by you, brick by brick, moment by moment, hard thing by hard thing. You didn't find it in a book. You didn't wait for it to arrive. You created it through action, through mistakes. Through movement, you earned it. So now when challenges come, you meet them differently. You don't ask, will I survive this? You say, I've faced worse, and I grew through it. That mindset, it's that memory of your own resilience. That's what makes you unshakable. Not because you don't feel fear anymore, but because you've learned how to move with it. You've learned how to breathe when things get heavy, how to pause without giving up, how to keep your heart open. Even when the path is unclear, and it's everything. That's real leadership. That's real growth. That's real power. Every hard thing you've faced has taught you something. Even the moments you thought were failures were actually full of messages. They showed you where you were afraid, where you needed boundaries, where you were growing too fast, or not giving yourself enough credit. You see, life isn't just about doing hard things. It's about learning from them. It's listening to what they teach. Letting the lessons shape you, not with shame, but with wisdom. Because every time you stretch, you find something new. Truth, a skill, a strength you didn't know you had. And when you collect enough of those moments, you start to see yourself differently. Not as someone who's struggling to become, but as someone who already is. Already capable. Already worthy. Already full of untapped strength that just needed to be called out. And what calls it out is not comfort. It's challenge. It's friction. It's choosing the hard path when the easy one would have been quicker. You didn't come here to coast. You came here to climb. And every time you step into the hard with your heart open, your mind clear, and your voice steady, you rise, not just in skill, but in self-trust. That's what confidence really is. Confidence isn't about pretending. It's not about acting like you're never afraid. It's not about being perfect. It's about being honest with yourself and still choosing to move forward. It's saying, I'm nervous, but I'm still here. I made mistakes, but I'm still learning. I don't feel ready, but I'm still taking the next step. That's where real confidence lives. In the decision to keep showing up, to keep honoring your journey, to keep choosing growth over comfort. Because let's be honest, comfort feels safe. But it's also where dreams go quiet, where voices shrink, where potential stays trapped. Hard things, they wake something up in you. They sharpen your focus. They call out your courage. They reveal who you really are beneath the fear, beneath the hesitation, beneath the old stories. And every time you choose the hard thing, you're rewriting that story. You're creating new evidence that you can trust yourself, not just when things are easy, but especially when they're not. You begin to say, I don't need things to be perfect. I just need to keep going. And in that simple choice, you become unstoppable. Sometimes growth feels invisible, like nothing is happening. Like all your effort is just floating in silence. But don't let that silence fool you, because real change often happens when no one is watching. When the lights are off and the voice in your head is loud, you still choose to keep going. It's in those unseen moments that your confidence is built, not through validation, but through integrity. Through the choice to keep showing up for yourself, even when the world seems quiet. You may not see the results today, but you are becoming someone who no longer quits on their own progress. And that matters more than you know. You're not chasing confidence anymore. You're becoming it. With every small, brave decision, with every yes to discomfort, with every time you take action instead of waiting for permission, confidence doesn't arrive all at once. It grows slowly, like roots under the surface. You don't always see it, but it's there. It's holding you up. It's anchoring you. It's making you steady in a world that tries to shake you. And when you look back, you'll realize the moments that felt quiet were actually the moments that changed everything. Sometimes growth feels invisible, like nothing is happening, like all your effort is just floating in silence. But don't let that silence fool you, because real change often happens when no one is watching. When the lights are off, and the voice in your head is loud, and you still choose to keep going. It's in those unseen moments that your confidence is built, not through validation, but through integrity. Through the choice to keep showing up for yourself even when the world seems quiet. You may not see the results today, but you are becoming someone who no longer quits on their own progress, and that matters more than you know. You're not chasing confidence anymore. You're becoming it with every small, brave decision, with every yes to discomfort, with every time you take action instead of waiting for permission. Confidence doesn't arrive all at once. It grows slowly like roots under the surface. You don't always see it, but it's there. It's holding you up. It's anchoring you. It's making you steady in a world that tries to shake you. And when you look back, you'll realize the moments that felt quiet were actually the moments that changed everything. It's okay to take small steps. In fact, small steps are the most powerful kind, because they're the ones you can take today, right now. Even when you're tired, even when you're unsure, you don't need to make a leap. You just need to move forward, 1 inch, 1 word, 1 breath at a time. That's how real confidence is built. It's not in a sudden explosion, but in steady repetition. It's in showing up again and again, until the hard things don't feel so heavy anymore, until speaking up feels natural, till trying new things feels exciting, till being seen no longer feels like a threat but a freedom because you've worked for it. You've earned it. Every day you chose to practice instead of procrastinate. Every time you made a mistake and chose to learn from it instead of shrinking from it. Every time you said, "I'll keep going," even when no one else saw the effort. That's the confidence you carry now, not loud, but real. Not perfect, but yours. And once you've tasted that kind of growth, you stop waiting to feel ready. You start trusting yourself to begin. You say, "I'm not who I used to be, and I'm not yet who I will be. But I'm moving, and that's enough." You might not notice it at first, but the way you speak to yourself, it shapes everything. It shapes your energy, your confidence, your ability to rise again when things go wrong. If your inner voice is always saying, "You're not good enough," then every challenge will feel like proof. But if your inner voice begins to say, "I'm learning, I'm improving, I can try again," then even the hard moments become part of your strength, because confidence isn't just built in action, it's built in belief. In the quiet moments when you choose kindness over criticism, curiosity over judgment, ask yourself, how do I talk to me? Would I speak this way to someone I love? If not, maybe it's time to change the tone, not because you're being soft, but because you're building safety, and safety is the foundation of growth. You don't grow by beating yourself up. You grow by creating space for effort. You grow by celebrating small wins. You grow by reminding yourself, "I may not be there yet, but I'm getting closer every day." And you are. Closer to the version of you that stands with confidence, speaks with clarity, and acts with courage. It starts inside. You're already doing the work. You've come so far already. Even if it doesn't feel like it, even if you still see all the things you haven't done yet. Take a moment, breathe, look back, not with judgment, but with compassion. There were days you thought you couldn't keep going, and yet here you are, still learning, still growing, still showing up. That matters, even if no one claps, even if no one sees, you see it. And the more you recognize your own progress, the stronger your foundation becomes. You stop needing others to tell you who you are. You begin to feel it in your bones. I'm someone who keeps going. I'm someone who learns from the hard things. I'm someone who shows up for myself. That identity, that truth isn't built in one moment. It's built across time, across hard days, across quiet victories. And now you're starting to believe it. Not because someone told you, but because you've lived it, and you'll keep living it. With every choice to act instead of hide, to speak instead of silence, to step forward instead of shrink back. You're building a life that reflects your strength, not the kind that looks impressive from the outside, but the kind that feels unshakable on the inside. You don't need to rush the finish line. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You just need to stay true to your process. Because the truth is, every hard thing you've done has already changed you. It's already shaped how you walk, how you speak, how you carry yourself. You may not even realize it yet, but the person you are today has more courage, more patience, more clarity than the one who began this journey. That's what doing hard things gives you. It's not just results, but resilience. You've learned how to stay steady in the storm. You've learned how to hear the doubt and keep moving anyway. You've learned how to breathe through pressure instead of breaking under it. That's something no one can give you, and no one can take from you. So now, when you meet a new challenge, you won't shrink back. You'll stand a little taller. You'll remember who you've become. You'll say, "I've done this before, and I'll do it again," because you've built something unshakable, not from perfection, but from persistence. And that lasts. You didn't need to be fearless. You just needed to be willing, and you were. You showed up for the challenge. You stayed through the discomfort. You moved forward when it would have been easier to stop. And because of that, you're no longer the same. You've grown, not loudly, not perfectly, but deeply, and now you carry something new, a quiet knowing inside. I can do hard things. I trust myself now. I don't need everything to be easy to keep going. That's confidence. That's strength. It's you becoming the version of yourself you were always meant to be. So wherever you are right now, pause, breathe, and say this to yourself. I'm proud of how far I've come. I'm not done growing, and I'm exactly where I need to be. Thank you for walking this path with me. You are powerful.
Oh.
You are becoming, and you're not alone. This has been your daily English podcast, where we grow through every word we speak, where confidence is not something you wait for, something you build. Until next time, stay kind, stay strong, and keep going.
Out.
You've got this.